for anybody who doesn't follow me, I'll give you a brief introduction of who I am. But I am on Instagram. That's really I do have a website now, but most of my content's on Instagram. And I do go by ant.cara on Instagram. And I started talking, I mean, I've always loved personal finance and felt like obviously managing your money is super important. And I married my husband and I've had it pretty much under control for a long time. But I'll tell you real quick, I started my Instagram account and my name is Aunt Cara because I have 7 nieces and nephews, almost all of them, but one are in their 20s. And so they have now spread out. We're very close, but they've spread out and are now, some of them married, one of them has a baby, and they're starting really their adult lives. And I'm like one of those aunts that's like any opportunity to do a life lesson with them when I'm around them. I mean, their whole lives I've been like that I try to, teach and share my stories with them. And, because I'm not their mom or dad, they actually listen. And so they, now in this period of time they're in now and they're in adulthood, it was like the IG platform, the Instagram platform was a great way to continue to just push out stories and they can absorb what they want and they can ignore what they want. But it was a way to reach them all. So they all follow me, which is fun. And then, I left my account open and just said, well, if anybody else cares about what I'm saying, they can follow me as well. And so a lot of people decided they liked what I had to say. So they're following me too. So that's like the whole background on the Aunt Cara portion of it. But I am 49 years old. I've been married for 26 years and I live in the Midwest. I don't ever tell specifically where I live, but I live in the Midwest. And I work in IT. So my career has been in technology for 26 years. It still is. I work full time. I'm working full time from home now. And my husband has been in all kinds of different industries. And in fact, he's a realtor. So there's my little connection to real estate. He's a realtor. He's a broker. He's had his license for 15 years or something. He used to be in the mortgage business actually before the bust and had a mortgage company with my brother-in-laws. But anyway, we've just been over the years, we were very thoughtful and cautious with our money. And we've saved a lot over the years. We never dug ourselves into debt. We've paid off our primary house, this one I'm in right now. We have a second house that's our vacation home, our lake home. That's been paid off as well. We have a third home that's like a flip, not a flip. I didn't mean to say that. A fixer upper. It's not a flip. We're not selling that. But we do have a small mortgage on that. It's like $50,000. It's not anything significant really. And so those are some of the things, we've done, with as far as real estate's gone. And then we've saved since day one for our retirement and build up a good amount for, someday when we need to tap into that and we don't want to work anymore. And we have 2 kids, 2 teenagers. One is a senior in high school. We'll be going to college next year. We have saved enough for him to get through 4 years of public university in our state. And he did just get accepted, which is exciting. And so he's set, but then I have a daughter too, who's a freshman. And she says she's going to a private university. So that's going to be fun to get that. We're like halfway there with her. She could do a public, but she's talking about private and, we're going to see if we can swing it. But we take savings seriously. Obviously, we've just been financially responsible over the years and live with, beneath our means. This house that I'm sitting in right now, we have lived in for almost 23 years. So it's our very first house we ever bought. We still live here. So that's one way to build wealth, is when you aren't constantly, upgrading your lifestyle. And that's something I preach a lot. And I feel like that, as our income has gone up, we've kind of stayed level in what we spend, and then everything extra gets stuffed into investments. So that's like just kind of a picture of our financial world. When it comes to travel hacking though, which is the fun, exciting thing that people like to hear about, I kind of look at that as almost our travel sinking fund. So I look for opportunities to earn points and miles with different travel programs. And when I'm able to do that, then we take a heck of a lot of vacations for free. So to date, we're around $65,000 worth of free travel. We typically, except for this year, we typically take at least 2 vacations a year. Sometimes it's 3 to 4, but always at least 2, a spring break and a fall break because of my kids. Our lives revolve around their school schedule. And then, we go kind of wherever we want. We do domestic travel. I will say, like, I am not an expert at all in international travel. I mean, I know a little from friends that also do travel hacking, but I just don't do a lot of international travel. So they're usually domestic trips, but when we travel, pretty much everything, is paid for. And so, except for our spending money. So we've taken a lot of great trips on points and miles, and primarily used credit card incentives to do that. So there's a big overview of kind of, who I am and the way that I think about money. I mean, just some basics.
Paying off properties. I'm sure some people are going to have questions about that, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't go against what we preach by any means, because at a certain point, I think that is wise to do. But just speaking about return on investment, have you ever got pushback by real estate investors saying, why not invest that into separate, diversifying into more assets rather than just paying off 3 houses?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a hot topic, right? I think there are things that drive me emotionally, especially once, we didn't pay our house off in like 5 years. It took I think it was 14 years that we paid off our house. And I think it was the events of some of the things that, honestly, I'll be candid, we saw with friends and family in losing their homes and being foreclosed and being forced out of their homes when the economy took a turn for the worse. That kind of are things were hard to shake mentally, and thinking like, I never want to be in that situation. I never want to put myself out there to have the risk of like not having a home for my family. So when the kids came into play, I think that was really like where that desire came from, like, versus like, oh my gosh, well, let me take $100,000 and go make a bunch of money off of it. That's going to make way more than whatever my interest rate is. I mean, I get on the math, right. It doesn't make sense for sure. But some of the things that we've personally seen and witnessed, and again, like we're close to home, and you think, I want to know every single day my house is paid for. I don't care what the economy does. I don't care what the stock market does. Like, I know this is my house and I own it free and clear. Like, it was just this comfort level that we had. And honestly, the lake home was the same way. That, like, let me give this caveat that house, you guys will love this. So again, I'm in the Midwest and we have a great cost of living. When we purchased that house, which we bought that like only like 2 years or a year and a half after we bought our primary home. But let me tell you this, one, we got a great deal on this house because it was foreclosed. And it was way beneath what we could have qualified for. It was way less than we were going to build a house, and we didn't. So we obviously had like the ability to get financed for something else or more. But the house we bought, that lake house, when we bought it, it was $39,000. So it wasn't like you're talking about double, it wasn't a full-blown home. I mean, and now we put a lot more than that into it and made it year round and doubled it in square footage and all that great stuff. So it's different now, but it was such an important part of our family. It was across the street from my parents' lake house. It was another thing where, like, I don't want to ever think about the losing this. Like, it was just, again, emotional, personal, all that. Now that $50,000 mortgage that we have on the third house, that's across the street from our lake house, it's like another one. I said, we're not paying this off. I said, we're keeping our money in the market. Like that, I don't have the attachment to. And if something ever happened, I wouldn't be as heartbroken. I mean, it'd be disappointing, but again, I think about the emotional side really when I made those decisions. But that third house, I was like, no, we're not. The interest rate's low enough on it. There's no way we could pay it off right now if we wanted, but I'm not doing that because we're making plenty of money in the market. Things are so good. So not today, not this week, they're not good, but most of the time I'm guessing people are most curious about travel hacking. Is that where we want to go? All right. Okay. So first of all, if you happen to follow me or don't follow me on Instagram, I use this hashtag every Tuesday, and it's hashtag Aunt Kira Travel Hacks. So if you wanted to just look at the content around travel hacking and skip through all my other stuff, I mean, I really just post about, money mindset and personal finance. But if you're like, I just want to see your travel hacking stuff and you follow that hashtag, then you can skip the rest if that's what you are most interested in. And so travel hacking is something that I started posting more about like a year and a half ago because people kept asking me more. Like I just put a few things out there and then I get all these DMs. And so I thought, you know what, I'll post like every so often about it. But it's an interesting dynamic. And it's really funny because I actually lose a lot of people on Tuesdays, lose a lot of followers. At the same time, it's like one of my most popular topics that everybody wants to hear about. It's very odd because I think the concept of travel hacking has this negative context with credit cards, which is such a no-no in, good personal finance and what we call on Instagram, the debt-free community, that people don't want, people say credit cards are bad and you'll never win the game of credit cards. The banks will always beat you. And so that thought then contradicts everything in the personal finance world. So it's a weird kind of thing that I think to some people that I talk about it so much because it doesn't sound like good personal finance practice. But as I continue to talk to people, and I always put, not every single time, but put disclaimers in there about, hack responsibly. So travel hacking is when, you are a part of these different hotel and airline, and even banks have travel loyalty programs. And a lot of them involve credit cards and earning points that you basically use towards free travel. And so, this is something that I've done for almost 9 years, like very intensely. I've done it for much longer than that, on and off, because I used to travel so much for work. But the big bang that I talk about pretty regularly are sign-up bonuses. And the key to me with all of this is, if you have good personal finance practices and you're organized and you know how much money you have and how much you can afford when you're out there spending your money, and all you're doing is routing the expenses that you would have anyway through this card, there's so much benefit. And every single month I have my credit cards paid off. Like there's never a time that we have a balance beyond whenever it was due. And that's the key. There are people that don't have the self-discipline when they have credit cards, that's like a weakness to them, that they feel like it's a loan, it's your, or you have the ability to buy something you wouldn't otherwise because you don't have, that cash in hand. And those people shouldn't be travel hacking. If you have any kind of weakness with credit cards, then travel hacking is not for you.